So welcome to Business Breakthrough. I am Ariane Light and I will be your host for this breakthrough. Um, so what we're really here to do today is look at how to find out where you are in your business, where's a current challenge, a current problem, something that's in the way of your business growth, and how to resolve it quite, quickly and fast. Because, that my dog's just heard me talking and he's like, "Why are you in there doing this session without me?" He's at the window. I'll just show you. He's at the window. There you go, going, "Why aren't I inside?" Anyway, he'll get bored in a second and head off. So yeah, so really the ability to resolve problems in your business, or another way to look at it is to answer questions that are currently unanswered, is absolutely central to business success, business momentum. In fact, if I can put a shameless plug in for the village right at the start, one of the most powerful things about being in a community is the speed at which you find an issue, find out what's going on and resolve it and move on to the next one. Yeah, because so often what happens is we hit an unanswered question, or we hit a problem or a challenge, and then often we spend a whole week going, "Oh, should I go purple or blue for my logo?" Or, "Oh, I did this marketing campaign, it didn't work. Why not? Maybe I'm not built for business." And we spend a lot of time getting the feedback and not turning it to wisdom and getting back out there. So today's really about how to build momentum in your business by resolving unanswered questions and problems quickly and moving on with them. But before that, I'll just touch base on the Embodied Business Institute. So what we do here is we help you grow your business the embodied way. And what that means is we bring in all sorts of, good entrepreneurial wisdom for your wisdom business. So things around, working out what your business is, what your brand is, what your product is, what's the best growth plan for you, what's the best marketing plan, and then how to scale your business and build systems. So we look at all of those things, but we do it within what I call an embodied lens, which means we're less about just get a vision, get a plan, get in action, and we're more about creating your business from an embodied place, which there's a long answer to that, but the short answer to that means that you're not just creating from your mind, but you're actually creating from your heart, from your body. I call it being body led. And so the people that really love this work are either people who are naturally head-led people and they want to bring more embodiment into how they do their business, or the greater number of people are people who really are naturally embodied people. They experience the world through their body, through feeling, more than through thoughts. And often those sorts of people, those body-led people, will find a lot of traditional business practices just don't work for them, because it's like, get a goal, get in action, and something in the way an embodied person engages with the world doesn't get inspired, doesn't gain energy from a future-based goal and getting really inspired about a 12-step plan. It actually can feel quite constricted. So the the real way we do business here is get in state first, then create. You'll hear me say that again and again and again. We'll be exploring it today in how we resolve problems as well. So get in state and then create. And it means that the more alive your state is, what I call the current of life force in your body, the more alive that current is, then the more powerful your ability to create in business is, especially if you're an embodied business person. So I've helped, thousands of people make millions of dollars in business, but I don't even think that's my biggest gift. Yeah, my biggest gift is how we do it. Yeah, for people who don't just want business success, but want to do it in a way that feels really true to and authentic to them, to their bodies, to their love. And one of the other names for Embodied Business Institute would be Ecstatic Business Institute, meaning learning to fall in love with the process of business, not just the result of business. So that's what we do here. We've got a whole lot of programs that help you do that, but I'll get to them at the end. Okay, so business breakthrough. So to have a business breakthrough, you need to have a problem. Yeah, you need to have some sort of restriction or challenge that's in the way currently. Now, it might be something that's sort of like on your face, like, "Oh my God, this is really annoying me." Or it might just be more like it's the next stage of your business and you've got some unanswered questions. I often think, a problem is simply an unanswered question. Yeah, so that it just means that you've hit a challenge and you haven't found the answer to it yet. So what I want you to do now is I want you to choose one. Now you may have 20 of them. You're like, oh my God, I don't know how to do my marketing. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. There might be a whole lot of things, but I want to invite you to choose one today, one problem, one challenge, or one unanswered question in your business that you want to bring to today that we're going to have a breakthrough in. And then when you've got that, I want you to write it in the chat. Just and give me a couple of lines, because hopefully today is less about a whole lot of content from me and more about me helping you really have a breakthrough. My intention is that all of you on this call and all of you listening to the recording get a breakthrough in your business, because like I said, and I'll probably say a few times through this session, the faster and more potently you meet a problem, transform it. You know, I often think of it like compost. Yeah, so you get the compost, you chew it up, and you put it back on the plants for the next stage of the growth. Whereas if you just stay stuck in a pile of compost, it just starts to stink. Yeah, so we want to take whatever the challenge is, turn it to compost, and turn it to fuel for the next stage of your growth. And if you don't have a good way to do that, both individually and within a community, that the speed of your business growth just won't be the same. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so chuck it in the chat. Yeah, so what is, and I really want every one of you to put this in, because I want to be holding every one of your problems and challenges to make sure that they're there. So please, all of you, chuck in the problem you're bringing today to resolve, or the unanswered question. Yeah. And I'll take a drink while I'm waiting for them to land. You all got your thinking faces on. So dynamic jobs, develop your signature program and then market it. So that's a whole lot of problems right there. Yeah. So um, so the question is, what is your signature program? Yeah, like the challenge is, because we don't, if you already know what the next step is and there's no challenge there, then you won't get the same value. So I want to really help you get more specific about what's the challenge here. Yeah. So Narelle's saying, I want to create a package of my modalities rather than individual sessions. Great, you're in the right place. That's central to what we do. It's a big part of a wisdom business owner moving from selling a modality to really selling a pathway for people. So you're in the right place. Designing a course. Great. So have a look as you're writing down, what is the challenge that you have to do that? Yeah, it's really integral that you look at, I'm not making enough time to do it. I'm not sure what the content of my course should be, but just see if you can get as clear as what's the thing that's stopping you with that. So it's not just the next step in your business, which is great to know, but it's the challenge you have in taking that next step. So from Craig is, oops, it's distracted by everything else. That's Nikki, yes. um, so Craig has shared that incredible abundance of skills, but the challenge is gaining clarity on what is your offering and then to package that up. Great. You're so in the right place for the village, a lot of you, which is exciting, because that's part of what we're here to do. Is I'm here to share value with you so that you can see, oh, wow, if I had this community of people long term with me and this training, wow, what would be possible? So it's good. A lot of what you're sharing are very much the challenges we work with in the um, program. Getting government support for your initiative is another problem. Attracting the right client in a feeling way when the systems are so black and white and don't carry my feelings and flow and essence. Beautiful. Manifesting abundance to move forward. Great. Okay, so got lots of them there. Good. Okay, so now this is one of my favorite things to do. Yeah, when as a coach, both in group coaching program situation and one-on-one, this is what we do. We resolve problems and we get momentum moving again. We resolve another one, get momentum moving again. It's what a good business coach does. Yes, it just helps tweak, go, tweak, go. Yeah. So the whole village, again, this isn't meant to be a whole sales pitch for the village the whole session, but is about developing a whole system for doing that, for being able to resolve the problem, find the pathway, get to it again. Okay, so I'm going to make a suggestion now, and it's probably true for, I don't know, 99% of cases. But I want you to tell me which of these three is true for you. So my suggestion is that the problem that you've brought is located in one of three, often more than one, but we're going to find which one first, three areas. Okay, so the first is it's a commitment issue. So many people come and say, I've got a problem. And I say, well, what have you done about looking for, to resolving it? How much time have you spent on this? It's like, oh, well, I haven't got time to do that. Or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, then it's a commitment issue. If you haven't allocated time, this is a simple way to understand if it's a commitment issue, is if you've got this problem, but you haven't allocated time to resolving it, either by yourself or with support from those around you or from mentors or coaches, then you're not really committed to changing it. You'd rather just talk about the problem than actually resolve it. Yeah. And honestly, the more I train people and the more trained the people get around me, this is so often the case, is because we have so many resources available to us if we're committed. Now, being committed doesn't resolve it straight away, but I assure you, if someone comes to me with a problem and they are committed, they're not complaining about their problem. They're really like, I've got this thing. Here's my best understanding of what's going on. What do you think? And their energy is focused and their time is focused on finding a solution for that problem. Whereas people who have a commitment issue, which, we all do when we get scared, when things are there in the way, then that they'll rather talk about the problem as if they don't know the solution. So it'll be more like, oh yeah, I've got this sort of thing going on. I'm not sure what's going on. And then when I ask questions about, okay, so what's your best understanding of what's going on there? Oh, well, I'm not sure. Okay, what time have you put in to try and shift it? Oh, yeah, well, I haven't really had time. And so what it means is the energy behind it, the commitment behind it is not strong enough to even begin to look at it. Yeah, because this is so central to change in any area, is the impetus behind it, the commitment behind it to create that change. And the bigger the change you're wanting to make, the more resistance there is to that change. In fact, I'll give you 30 seconds on the human psyche as understood through the Embodied Business Institute lens. Is we have an identity, a personality, an ego, whatever you want to call it, and its job is to take in whatever it's told and repeat it. Yeah, and that works well for things. It means we can build on wisdom. We can obviously learn to crawl, then we can learn to walk, then we can learn to run, then we can learn to dance. Yeah, so is useful being able to forget things and just have them repeated inside your system. But unfortunately, that works for beliefs and things as well. And so we get told things, or we make decisions and stories and beliefs inside us about the way things are, and then they just go on repeat. And that the ego's job is to just keep repeating them until enough impetus comes in to change them. So commitment is the energy that gives us the courage to then go about the change. It doesn't necessarily make the change, but if it's not there, then there'll always be reasons why not, and we'll stay in the known, because that's the sort of the language of the ego, the identity is the known. Stay where we know. And the language of growth is the unknown, the mystery, the vulnerable. So yeah, I want you to just feel, in fact, I'll say one more thing as an example, and then we'll see, explore, is this a commitment issue for you? Okay, so with this problem, let's say, this is a bit cruel, but I'm using it as a metaphor, so don't freak out. This is not a way I do business. But let's imagine that I kidnapped your children, yeah, or your pet, or someone you loved, and I said, I will not give them back unless you resolve this problem by the end of today. Yeah, did you get how all of a sudden you would, besides calling the police and, hiring Liam Nielsen, is it, to come and rescue, what I mean, but assuming that your only option was to do what I said and fulfill on that, do you get, just give us hands if you understand that your motivation would radically change. Your commitment would stop going, oh, well, I'm not sure. Let me think about that. Oh, I'm a bit too busy. I've got to go and watch Netflix. Yeah, all of your life force would be fucking on board to make sure this happened. Now, that's an extreme example, but that's how much power we have when we're truly committed. And so many of the times people say I've got a problem, it's a commitment issue first. So let's have a look honestly with yourself. How committed are you to resolving this problem you brought forward? How committed? Out of 10. Just have an honest look at it right now. How committed are you? Yeah, and the honest answer is great. I'd much rather you be honest that it's at a 2 than get all hyped up and say, no, I'm a 9 out of 10, but in actual fact, you haven't really been committed to it at all. 3 to 4, great. 5, great. Chuck that number in the chat if you haven't already. So what I'm going to do is I'll go through the 3 things and then we'll look at remedies for them. But that's great. An 8, awesome. So anytime I'm working with someone, the first thing is, yeah, sorry, I'm just seeing a question there from Craig. I'm committed to finding an answer, but haven't felt the urgency. I would call that not committed. Yeah, because commitment and urgency are the same thing, like in the example with kidnapping the children. So committed is an idea without volition. Yeah. So like, or when you say you feel committed, but it's not showing up in time, there's no urgency with it, then it's just an idea. So urgency, and urgency doesn't have to mean stress. Yeah, it doesn't mean like I've got to, children have been kidnapped, I've got to make this happen. But it means this fucking matters. Yeah, that you care about this thing and these people and this change you want to make. Because I guarantee you, if you care, you get committed if you really feel it. 6, fear is stopping. Great. So that's, again, we'll be looking at that in the next one. But so if fear is stopping, the question is, am I making time to look at that, or am I just avoiding it? Because if you're showing up to explore what is that fear and find a way to work with it, then you're committed and fear's in the way. But if you're just going, fear's in the way, well, I can't do it then actually fear's not the issue. It's that you're not even committed. Yeah, is that making sense? Just give us hands if, because great, because fundamentally what I'm saying in the background here is that your power is way more than, all of our power is way more than we realize when we commit, when we, make a choice. So the simple remedy, if it is a commitment issue, and basically for any of you who've scored under 5, I would say it's a commitment issue. You know, and then I'm committed. Here's another one. I'm committed, but I'm still waiting for the right alignment. Sorry, Emily, but I'm about to tease you with that one. Now, I obviously don't know your exact situation, but when we're really committed, we're not waiting anymore. Yeah, the consciousness of waiting, in fact. Now, of course, there's a deeper question about timing and, going with the flow and learning to move in rhythms that are authentic and true, and I get that. But you brought a problem you want resolved, yeah? So we're not talking about that I'm not bringing an agenda that you saying you need to fulfill on this by this time. Then it might be, hey, it's just not the right timing for me. But if this is genuinely something you're committed to resolving, then if you've got a story about waiting for an opportunity to come, waiting for the right time, I almost guarantee you that underneath that is something else, because the consciousness of waiting is fundamentally gets in the way of someone who's committed. Yeah, so that basically there's doorways that the person who is waiting will just not see. Yeah, in fact, I'll give you a quick example of that. And it's relevant to my beautiful dogs out there. I had a beautiful dog, Bozo, in the circus with me. He was a lovely dog, had him for 19 years and he passed. And for a gorgeous little creature he was. And then for a few years, I was really happy not to have a dog. I was no responsibilities and grieving him and whatever. And after about 2 or 3 years, I started to feel like I wanted a dog. And I was doing a vision process in one of my warriors programs. And I just got really, clear that I wanted a dog. And for about 6 months before that, I'd been thinking, oh, I want a dog, but there's these issues. The yard that I live in doesn't, there's no space for a dog, and I'm going away and traveling a lot. I don't know when I can have a dog. And so there was these issues that were in the way. And then in this moment when I did this vision process, I went, I want a dog. In fact, I want two dogs, which I've never had before. I want two beautiful, in the vision, they were two dark dogs and they would run around me and all of what's totally my life now. And and so I did this vision process and I went, it's time to get a dog. And I just committed fully, totally in that moment, it's time to get a dog. And immediately I literally went, oh, I can build a fence on this part of the yard, and that part of the yard will be quite easy to have a dog. Before I'd been like, I'm not sure how I could do it. Do I need to buy an electric gate thing? And as soon as I was committed, I just saw build a fence there. And then I went, I just need two or three friends who are happy to take the dogs when I go away. And I contacted them and I had two or three people say, yeah, really happy to do that. And so these issues that had been blocking me for 9 months in getting a dog got resolved the moment I said, it's time to get a dog. Literally the consciousness just changed and solutions were there. So often we say that, there's these issues in the way, but really if you're committed, solutions present themselves. And even if the problem is still there, like the fear that you express, if there is core fear, it's not that fear just goes away with commitment, but it means that now it's time to look at that. Yeah, now you've genuinely got skin in the game to actually look at that fear and do your work with it and resolve it. Yeah, get mentorship, get support, do processes, whatever it is, you're now committed to doing it. Whereas if it's just like, oh, I want to do it, but I'm scared, you're not actually committed. Does that make sense? It's a confronting thing to see how much power we have, yeah, and that how much commitment is the beginning point of transformation and of business growth. It
Yeah.
doesn't end there. Yeah, it's not that sort of like just get committed and everything works out. No, there are real problems to resolve, internal beliefs, practical strategies that you don't know about yet or don't know how to do it. But if you're not committed, the doorways just won't be there. If you're committed, the doorways will open and you'll step through them. Okay, you with me? That you're feeling that? It's actually confronting because it's much easier to say, oh, I'd love to have a bigger business, or I'd love to be committed, but there's this thing. Yeah, that I'm scared. I've got these past patterns. This thing happened to me. All of those stuff. But if you haven't made a choice, first and foremost, yeah, that is the remedy for a commitment issue, is to make a choice. Yeah. And what I've found when I'm working with people, especially once they're well trained, is once we flip that, they're off again. I don't even need to work on anything else. It's like, oh yeah, right. Okay. I know what I need to do next. Okay. So that's the first one. Now, second is if it's not a commitment issue, then the second is it's a state issue. Now, a state issue is, I don't mean an issue with the governance of your local state. I mean, it's that your physiological state, so the internal structure of your beliefs and thoughts, are in the way of you fulfilling on that goal. Yeah, so that's like the fear that Megan, you were talking about, or you know, anything we're looking at, anything we want to create in life requires a state shift to be able to fulfill on it. Yeah. So if I'm wanting to go out and, bring in 10 new clients into my business, there's a state of confidence and belief that's required to do that. Yeah. If you're wanting, like some of the people then that, people are talking about landing a signature program and getting clear on your product, which is a lot of what we do, is really, really help people move from that transition to having a really clear plan. And so when that's the case, um, the state, yeah, we have to learn to be able to change our state, because if we haven't got that state of confidence in the case of getting 10 new clients, or state of expression, or whatever it is, then we'll try and go to action too quickly. Yeah. And so this is basically the stages I go through with someone when I'm coaching them. Yeah. Is okay, are you committed? If you're not, go away. Yes. If I'm ever talking with someone and I'm assessing whether we can go on a coaching journey together, the first thing I'll do is explore if they're really committed to this, because it's the one thing I can't work with. I can help people transform their state. I can help people create incredible strategy, incredible. But if they're not committed genuinely in themselves that it's time for this, then they'll try and get me to do the work, and I'm not interested in doing that, because I want my gifts to be the best used they can be. And so if someone brings commitment, I can create anything with them. Yeah. If they're not bringing commitment, as in they're not making proper time, then there's no point. Yeah. I'd rather them go away and face more pain until they get committed. But so once we've got commitment, then it's potentially a state issue. So, and that means that what you're trying to achieve and your current set of beliefs and internal feelings, thoughts, aren't in alignment with what you're trying to create. Does that make sense? I think that's pretty simple. Yeah. And again, so many people bring their problem as if it's a strategy problem. So it's like, oh, I don't know how to get from A to B. And sometimes it is. And that's the third one, which we'll look at soon, is it's a strategy problem. It's like, I actually just don't know. I'm committed and I'm in state and I just don't know what to do. That's by far the easiest problems to resolve. But if there is commitment, but that the state isn't matching the intended goal, then all sorts of stuff shows up. Distraction, procrastination, blaming other people, sort of being scattered, all sorts of things show up because the state hasn't been activated behind it. So for example, when I'm helping people create their signature program, one of the states that I'll get them in really powerfully is the state of clarity. Yeah, when someone gets really clear and in the state of clarity, and that's, you know, as we say, breathing, moving, and sounding through us, meaning it's fully alive in my physiology. My feelings have got clarity, you know, flowing through them. My thoughts have got clarity. If I've been able to activate that state fully, then so many of the problems get resolved. Questions just get answered. Yeah. So I'll bring somebody in. I'll say, I'm not sure what my signature program is. Great. We get in state, build that state of clarity until they're like, you know, staring me down the Zoom lens or whatever it is with fierce clarity. And then we go, okay, now let's ask the same question. And 75% of the time, boom, 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 they know what it is. And so it wasn't a strategy issue. It was a state issue. Yeah. So being able to master your state is central to being able to resolve any problem. Because again, if you're trying to resolve a problem at the wrong place, this is why I'm presenting these three sort of ways of looking at a situation, is too many people are not addressing it at the level that it's needed. Yeah. If you're not committed, then you're not going to do the work to change your state, and you're not going to, you know, then implement a strategy, because you may actually know the strategy of what's needed, but you won't implement it if you're not committed and in state. So that ability of yours to recognize, okay, what's going on? I'm not committed. I'm not in state. Yeah. So let's have a look at the problem you've brought forward. And let's have a look. And this is, if I was coaching you individually, we could get more nuanced with this, but I'm pretty sure you'll get what I'm talking about here. Is what state would you need to be in to resolve this? Yeah, what state would you resolve this easily? Yeah, so just have a look. Very likely for some of you, we might be the state of clarity, but have a look for yourself. What state would support you to if that state was fully activated and alive through you? Yeah, what you know, you would just resolve it, and just write that state down in the chat. Yeah, confidence, great. Yeah, the most common ones that are in business, obviously there's, when I'm looking more on personal, there's a lot to do with safety, a lot to do with a sense of belonging, a sense of you know, those sorts of things. But in business, clarity, confidence, and expression are probably the three biggest ones. Yeah, I'll be getting to that in the afternoon session around marketing, but our ability to express ourselves confident, our voice, is 90% of what blocks people in their marketing. Yeah, it's not about their love for social media or not knowing what to write. It's that the state of expression isn't powerfully activated in their being. Commanding, I like it. The state of command. Great. So does that make sense? That your state is so central to resolving problems. Can you feel that? And often one of the things I love, great, lots of hands and heads nodding. One of the things I really love is that a problem is a calling to elevate your state. Yeah. So that I'll give you a horrific example in some ways. That so some of you know my story that my wife was diagnosed with cancer when our boy was 1.5, and it was a horrific time, terminal cancer, and it was a horrific time. And I spent a long time really suffering in that. I was resistant. I was doing all the things a father and a husband should be doing, but inside I was frozen and broken and angry at life. I had a spiritual worldview. If you just do your meditations and focus on abundance, everything will happen. And all of a sudden, my wife's got cancer, and my little spiritual bubble had burst because we were, loving human beings, doing all the right things, and here she was facing her own death, and it didn't make sense. It wasn't the way I thought the world was. And so for 6 months, I really suffered in silence, like a lot of us men do, and just soldiered on. And at a certain point, I broke, and I couldn't cope anymore. And yeah, it was a really hard time. I felt like I was failing my son, failing her, everything. And then what happened in that time was this: I cracked, and in that cracking, this love found me. This profoundly deep, beautiful love that my wife also found as she was nearing her death. She called the love that cannot die. And we found this state of love and grace right in the mixture of grief and loss and heartbreak. Was this state of divine grace about the beauty of the moment and the beauty of life beyond death and beyond circumstance. That was by far the most extraordinary experiences of my life. And she actually passed in my arms with the most exquisite eruption of love through me and through her and through life. It was breathtaking, wild grief and heartbreaking. The worst thing that's ever happened to me was happening. And so the reason I share that story is that our state is like our circumstances are a calling to transform our state. Yeah. So sometimes our circumstances are a byproduct of the states that we've been in. Yeah. So if our business isn't thriving and we've got a state of life's hard and I don't want to do it, then you can see there's a natural match there. But a more empowering way to look at it is this problem that you've got is calling for you to activate this state. Does that make sense? Can you feel the inspiring? Just give us some hands if that makes sense. Because yeah, great. So then how do you activate your state is a longer answer. Some of you have done some of the training with us already around that, but every problem is an invitation to master your state more fully. And also every time you upgrade in your business it's another level of state required. Yeah. So it's a continual process of building the internal foundations so that then you can take the external actions. So that's why in the Embodied Business School we continually look at, okay, getting your state right, then getting your strategy right, getting your state right, then getting your strategy, and learning to grow them both together. Okay, so we'll do a little process at the end to choose which of these it is for you and where the work is, but we'll look at the third one now. So if you're committed and you're in state, then it's a strategy issue. And a strategy issue, as I mentioned before, simply means I don't know what to do. Yeah, I don't know what actions do I take to get 10 clients. I don't know how to create a signature program. I don't know, how to make the time to be able to grow my business. So there's a practical problem, yeah, that needs resolving. So, question for you: how many of you feel like it's a strategy issue? How many have genuinely, as we move through the commitment and state, feel like, yep, no, those two are alive, and now actually the problem I have is a strategy one? Now, of course, they're on all levels, but I assure you, don't deal with a strategy issue until you've got committed and got in state, because 93.2% of problems disappear when you're committed and in state. Yeah. because there's just a movement forward. That it's no longer a problem, it's a pathway to action. It's a question to resolve. In some cases, they literally just disappear. Like, it's like, oh, right, well, that's not a problem at all. I see it now. I'll just do this. And other times it's like, oh, yeah, right, that's a real thing. I don't know what to do. I better go and get some mentoring. I better go and get some support, whatever it is. Okay, so just chuck in the chat if you feel like yours is a strategy issue. I'm interested to know if any of you can go, oh yeah, the commitment and the state are there. Okay, not many of you, clearly. Great, so then it also a strategy. Oh, yep, yes, so we're getting, yep, a few people saying strategy. Great, okay, so there are some. So then once you've committed and you're in state, then this is where it gets really juicy because you've got energy to resolve the strategy. So the way we resolve the strategy issue is we have to work out what's the next step, because sometimes the okay, I'm just getting some more questions coming through. I'm committed and I have clarity. It's how I move into the next stage. Great. Mostly strategy and refining state as you go along. Great. Okay. So then if it's a strategy issue, then welcome to the Embodied Business Institute, because we built a whole, what we call the Embodied Business System, which is helped you to design where your strategy is. In fact, Sue, do you want to bring up the Embodied Business System, the Wheel of 12? Because I'll show you why this is relevant, and I just want to use it as a context. So strategy, the way we resolve strategy is what's the next step here? Because often there's a bigger question of like, okay, I don't know how to get clients, but then when it's a strategy issue, it's what's the next step towards fulfilling on that. So this is a strategy wheel, yeah? And on the right, we've got people. And I'll explain very quickly the wisdom industry that you're in and why this is a strategy to help you grow. And as I explain, I want you to feel which of these is where you need a breakthrough or where your strategy needs wisdom. So first is people, yeah? And that's, you've got to know who your people are. You've got to know who you're serving. If you haven't got that clear yet, then trying to develop strategies on top of that will be fundamentally undermined. Yeah, so that's part of what, again, diagnosing where this, like what strategy is needed is often about recognizing, are the foundations in place for that. So for example, I get a lot of clients who come in saying, I want to get more clients in my business, but we come in and we find out actually they don't even know who their avatar is yet. And so it's like, we've got to go back. So they're looking for the strategy to get more clients, but they haven't actually got the first strategy in place that will then answer the question of where do I find my people? So you've got to know who your people are. Then the next is your product, which is your signature program, getting really clear on what your offer is. The third is pipeline, which is understanding the flow. And we'll be looking at this in the embodied marketing session. And so it's really about understanding the flow from people not knowing you at all to coming and buying your product and building a pipeline or a funnel, whatever you want to call it, to come and do that. Then the next step is about engaging with those people, how to create connection, relationships, so that people move through that pipeline that you've designed. Then build is about building communities and building people inside your pipeline. Then it's about network, expanding your networks, your both, in terms of, I won't go into the whole strategy of it. Then it's about sales and about creating really clear, solid sales processes. And then it's about scaling, and it's about the RRR. Good timing, Craig, that your question came up at the exact perfect moment I was about to say it. So it is about repeat, and then refine, and then reoccur. So it's basically a process of whatever product you've developed, whether it's one-on-one or a group, learning to repeat that process so that the market is clear that it loves it. Then it's about refining it so that it's taking less time for you to do it and adding more value. And then it's about creating reoccurring revenue from that. And then systems, obviously that's about tech, it's about all of those things. And then staff is about the people, getting the right people on board. And then on the inner part of that is the strategies required to fulfill on each of them. Okay, you can take that down now. So being able to resolve the strategy issue is about really understanding the map, the territory upon which your business is, and then finding the right strategy. And if it is a strategy, then my strategy to you is you need to find people who've done it before. Yeah, Anthony Robbins, one of my great mentors, his simple approach to life is work out where you want to go, find out someone else who's already done it, and then learn from them until you can do it too. Yeah. Now it's slightly different for embodied business owners, because if they get to just doing someone else's strategy, they lose the flow. So they have to keep their own embodied current alive enough to be able to implement someone else's strategy, and also to make it their own strategy, which is why we do what we do a lot of in this work, is not just go and do this thing, but here's what you need to do. How can you do that in a way that works for you? Okay, so let's use our last bit of time together to have a breakthrough in this. So we'll go through each of them and we'll see if we can create a doorway for you. Okay, so just close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and just get into state. Whatever that means for you, I won't take too long for that today, but just get into state, centeredness, feel the energy flowing in your body. And now let's move through each of them. So if you're committed, we know everything else can flow. So currently we've explored what level of commitment it was, and I want you to just feel now, how committed am I willing to be to this, to resolving this problem, and also committed to the business, but really we'll just focus on resolving this problem. And I just want you to write down now, maybe we'll do it that way. I just want you to write down how committed you are. And as you're writing it down, I want you to breathe and activate that commitment. Yeah, just, you get to choose it. Commitment is a fucking choice. It's as simple as that. And we often think, well, but I don't know what the answer is yet, or I don't know where to go. That's fine. Commitment isn't about having a solution. It's about showing up to find one. So just write how committed, write down why you're committed to this. That's another thing that helps with commitment. Yeah. Great. Craig's an 11 out of 10 commitment. That'll obviously, that while being mathematically impossible, metaphorically, it's very powerful when we feel that, okay, it's fucking time. Yeah, I've had enough of this. It is time to change. It's time to show up for this. It's time to resolve this. You got that, 90% of the work is done. So just find your authentic commitment, because some of you might actually go, oh yeah, well, I'm not really committed to this. Great. Therefore, it's not a problem. It's just an idea that you're ruminating on. Yeah, it's not a problem that you're going to actually show up for and be changed by. It's the beautiful thing about problems is we have to change. We have to evolve and grow through them. That's the whole process of suffering and pain in this weird ass world, is that it's an invitation to become something greater in the face of that unknown, that problem. So I just want you to breathe that commitment through your body, maybe read it a couple of times, write it, and just activate that commitment. And just see what level you can get to now. Maybe you can find an 11 like Craig did, or Narelle's found an 8. Great, just breathe that commitment through your body. Committed people find a way. Uncommitted people find excuses. It's life coaching 101, but it's true. Yeah. Just breathe that commitment through. Feel why that matters. Yeah, our why gives us energy to commit. The people, in fact, that's another, just to strengthen the commitment a bit. Who will this benefit? Yeah, if you resolve this, yeah, if you crave, you feel those men that you're going to serve. If you create this product, these men's lives are going to be transformed. Feel them for a second. That'll take your commitment to a 12 or even a 23. Who knows? Yeah, but just feel the people that will be impacted by this. It's one of the beautiful things about you wisdom business owners is that at the core, you want to make a difference. And so feel those people and let that grow that commitment. Yeah, feel your heart expanding. Beautiful. Feel them, and link that with your commitment to resolving this. It's one of the challenges of the more spiritual, mystical teachings is like, oh, if I just get in the right vibration, everything will work. And on one level, I totally agree with that, that there's incredible power. But another level is life is full of problems. And if you don't show up for them and chew through them and get uncomfortable with them, and you just keep magically hoping for life to occur, it'll probably not work unless your magic is really embodied. Okay, two more big breaths with that commitment. And remember this, anytime there's an issue, am I committed first? If you're not, deal with it there first. Okay, now let's move on to state. Okay, so you said there was a state that would help you resolve this challenge. So we're going to just do a few minutes pattern weaving with this state. This is a warrior practice that I'm not going to explain anything about it. We're just going to do it now. If you want to come and learn it more, come and join us in the village. We train you intensively how to master your state from the inside out. Okay, but I just want you to feel that state that you said, and we're going to activate it through breath, movement, and sound. So just breathe in that state of confidence, that state of clarity. You can get up and move around your chair if you want, but just almost get the sense of like you're calling it in, like in the movies, you know, when the hero is about to call in the magic to defeat the demon. It's like, whoa! You don't have to be that dramatic, but that's just the image I get. But just do whatever you do to breathe it in. You know, the breath is a doorway to new life force. So around you is a unified field of everything you could ever desire. And in that unified field is this essence of confidence, this essence of clarity. And by breathing it in, you're opening your body to how does this essence of clarity breathe, and breathe with that. And then move with it. Yeah, the body is our unconscious mind. So when you activate this state through the breath and then start to wake it up through the body, you are putting new foundations in your unconscious mind. So this state is alive. So move with it and pulse with it through the spine, up into the lungs, whatever it is. Just move the body. So this essence of clarity or this essence of conviction is coming alive as a living current in the body. Yeah, if I was to sum up what we do here in the village in the Embodied Business Institute in a few words, I would say we awaken the current, your true current, and then we learn to bring that into powerful action to grow your business. That's the foundation of what we do. So just feel that current breathing and moving through the body. And then bring some sound in as well. Yeah, our voice is how this internal state of conviction or clarity actually is able to express itself in the world. And so just allow this conviction, this clarity to just make some sound. Maybe it even wants to speak. I can do this. I believe in me. You're amazing. Maybe it just wants to speak some words. Feel those words and just play with that for just one more minute, breathing, moving, and sounding that state. Because the thing about shifting your state is you'll know it. I was like, oh, yeah, right. If I'm feeling more confident, my business will be better. Duh, we all know that. But are we doing the work to actually shift our physiological state into that state of confidence? Or are we just going, well, I know I should be more confident, which is a totally useless thought, unless it has you get off the chair and do a pattern weaving or whatever you know to do to activate state through in confidence through your body. So breathe, move, and sound that state through your system. 30 more seconds. Just see if there's a doorway now to doubling the potency of this state. Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean bigger and louder, but let's imagine that there is a radical increase of this state available to you through your breath, movement, and sound, and just say yes to it. And breathe, move, and sound it through your body. Beautiful. Okay, just keep that going. Keep feeling that commitment and that state. And now we're going to look at strategy. Now, remember, the secret to strategy is not knowing every step. One of the things that paralyzes us, we go, well, I don't know all the next steps. That the strategy that we need is what we in the village we call the right now strategy. Yeah, the the now focus. What is the next step to resolving this problem? Yeah, and there's one simple way is you already know it, in which case there'll be action to resolve it. So, okay, book 3 hours and write my signature program. Yeah, it might be that simple. Or you may not know how to do this, and you might be like, oh, I'm going to reach out to Ariel and Sue and ask them about the village because I want to, I want to learn these strategies, how to do this thing. Or it might be, whatever it is, there's there's always a next step, even if you've got no idea. Yeah, because strategy is finding the next step that's needed, not, how to do the whole thing. So, what is the next step that is needed? And are you willing to commit to that next step, like now? And I want you to write down what that next step is, and then I want you to schedule that in. Yeah, just commit to it in whatever way is true. Just in this next 1 minute, I want you to commit to it. Write it as a sticky note, put it in your phone, send a message to someone. Just take an action that lands that next step in motion. And that single next step is brings new life into it. And even if that next step you take it shows up to not be the right one, you've got some more information to then recheck and take another one. Whereas too often we're like, well, I'm not sure if this is the right one. Well, if you're not doing anything, I'm sure that's not the right one. So action is always the vehicle for transformation. Yeah, whether that action is to go and do a deep pattern weaving process, or in the warrior work we have really deep processes to clear core beliefs and repattern. And so sometimes the action is internal. It's like, oh, I need to go and re stump my house to be able to create that thing externally, but it's still an action. And other times it's like, okay, I'm going to call 10 people today. Yeah. Or I'm going to go, often I'm going to go and train. Yeah. In the village on the Monday, what we do is we help people find, okay, what's your next, your focus for the week based on, having a clear map of your business, which is what we do first. And then it's like, what's your focus for the week and what training do you need to fulfill on that? And so every week it's about, okay, I'm going to learn, how to write good copy this week, or I'm going to really land my signature program this week. And so it's always about bringing in more education and learning to enrich your ability to fulfill on that strategy. It's never expecting you to know the strategy. It's about training you to have the skills to be able to fulfill on it. So I just want you to write down in the chat now what that next step is, and if you're committing to it. And I'll just give you 1 minute to do that. So we're coming up to time. And I assure you, let me give you one more life coaching 101. If this action doesn't happen, then it's all just lovely fluff. Yeah, getting committed, getting inspired, getting in state. If you don't take the action, the energy dissipates. If you take the action, you start weaving it into the world. And you'll hear me talk about embodiment a lot, which means that a pattern or something is alive within you. But we also talk about it being embodied in the world. Yeah, and so if you want a successful business, that means that you've taken the action so that that business is woven into your relationships and your community. Great. So a couple of calls to make. Great. Spend time to connecting to source and just write. I feel it's all there. Beautiful, beautiful. And schedule them in. Yeah, because the important thing here is not just knowing what it um, is yeah. So contacting senators and ministers. Great. So even clearer is the letter written. So the first step might be write the letter to the senators and ministers. If the letter is written, then okay, I'm going to contact 3 senators and ministers on Monday, or 27 of them. Yeah. So the clearer, the more able to flow into action it is, the better. Doing a get in state and then create session for my signature program. Great. Love it. Okay. So we're about to finish. So I'll just touch on the village, even though I've spoken about it more in this session than I normally do. And then we've got a bit of time if you've got questions, or if you haven't got your breakthrough yet from what we've shared, then I'll be able to coach you for a bit to do that. So the village, yeah, it's an ongoing business accelerator where we train you. Thank you, Sue. We train you in three things, what I call the three fires. And the three fires are the three things that I know if you get these three fires burning, you will accelerate your business and accelerate your wisdom coming into the world. So the first fire is the state, yeah, which is what we've been exploring today. And it's continuously mind-boggling how powerful changing your state is as a strategy for business success. So the first fire is your mastery of your own physiological state. And that is both in the moment, able to shift your state, but also building your capacity in your state. Yeah, it's a big part of what we do is like, okay, this new, you want to double the size of your business. What's the internal structure required to do that? Oh, it's a sense of more fullness and life. Great, let's build that. And we have a whole training and mini trainings and meditations to help you do that. Second is strategy, which we've touched on a bit today, is really knowing what is my next action to grow my business. And then the helping you find that, both in the trainings we do and the coaching we give you to really help you get clear, this is my next strategy. And then we provide over 100 hours of training to, not, you don't do all of that, of course, but you get given the piece of training you need to be able to fulfill on that next strategy. And then the last one is support. And that is about, it takes a village to raise a business. So it's about having a community. Sue and I first, Sue's warm, volcanic, wild love, and my fucking let's do this energy with a community of people who are practicing and learning this stuff together creates an accelerated learning environment that just can't be replicated by an individual alone. And so then the three of them together, if you're training in your state, you're getting clear on your strategy, and you've got that support with you, I guarantee you that the acceleration of your business will make the cost of it like radically worth it. Not just like, oh yeah, I've sort of got a bit of value, but like radically worth the money and the time you invest in this community. And then last thing is we've got what we call the wisdom business growth ladder. And this is basically, again, this is about helping you work out where you are and where you need to go. And I'm not going to go into that fully. I'm just going to touch on it really briefly because it helps you understand what we do in the village. And there's basically 7 different levels where we move from an idea, and we help you clarify your idea. So you'll see at the bottom, we've got idea. It's like, I've got this business idea I want to do. Great. Then we need to focus on your brand and we need to get a plan. Yeah. Okay, no, I've actually got, if you're at level 3, I've got a hobby business. I've got a few customers coming in, but I haven't really taken it further than that. Great. Let's look at getting the market testing, get the product right, and then we're going to move it up to a side hustle where you've got some good, consistent clients, but you've still got another income stream. And then we cross that golden line, which is when all your income is coming from your wisdom business. And we really look at then building it from a career to what I call a lifestyle business, which is where you're really able to do it in a way that you absolutely love. And so there's different trainings at each stage that you go on to move up that ladder. So that's it. That's all I want to say about the village. If you're interested, just drop the word village in the chat on the right, and we'll reach out to you and talk to you about it. And there's more information you can get to get more of a sense if it works for you. But if it is right, then I guarantee you it'll be an incredible acceleration in you bringing your wisdom into the world. So yeah, just drop the word village in the chat, or if you're watching the recording, just reach out to us and say you're interested in the village. And so we'll pause recording now. Oh, done. Thank you all. Hope you've had a breakthrough through that process.